Want to win money on sports? With Underdog, you can win up to 1,000 times your cash just by picking higher or lower on your favorite players' stats. Millions of fans have won billions of dollars on Underdog. Will you be next? Download the Underdog app and sign up to get a free pick with your first cash entry up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama, Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Arizona, 1-800-NEXT-STEP, 1-800-639-8783, or text NEXT STEP to 53342. New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
Breathing deeply while listening to ocean waves can help reduce stress. Inhale, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 3, 2, 1. Let's keep solving. For more health solutions, go to floridablue.com. Florida Blue is a trade name of Blue Cross Blue Shield of Florida, Inc.
Welcome to 3 Yards Per Carry, a podcast covering the Miami Dolphins and the NFL. Now, here's your hosts, Chris, Alf, and Simon.
Miami has the Dolphins, the greatest football team. We take the ball from goal to goal like no one's ever seen. We're in the air, we're on the ground, we're always in control. And when you say Miami, you're talking Super Bowl, 'cause we're the Miami Dolphins.
And we're on, and this is a victorious edition of 3 Yards Per Carry. I'm afraid Tiago Simon Clancy is here. Chris Kaufman is here. And as always, this show is brought to you by ThompsonCigars.com. Use the promo code 3 yards. That's the number 3 yards. You get 25% off your order over $100, 20% off your order over $75. All right, guys, we're gonna get right into this game. Simon, you're a little kind of surprised that Miami's defensive staff so well scouted the Rams' offense, but we should have seen it coming because they essentially practice against that every single day. They practice against themselves. They seem to have answers for all those little motions, all those cheat motions, all those bunch formations. Anthony Weaver, I thought, this was his finest moment so far as a Dolphins coach. Your thoughts on how this game played out, and were you surprised at the success the Dolphins defense had?
A little bit, actually, and it was great to get a win, a must-need win to get back in the race a little bit. And, all of a sudden, I said it last week, a win puts you, 1.5 games out of the wild card, I think. I mean, that's how mad it is in the AFC. And, you got the Raiders to come, you got the Patriots to come, and all of a sudden, you're getting back close to 500 at that point, and you're right back in the mix. So, it was a much needed win. I thought the defense was outstanding, and actually go along, Calais Campbell was great. Deshaun Hand made plays. Zach Sealer was brilliant. Quentin Bell played really well. Jordan Brooks, again, had another great game. Chop Robinson had his best game as a pro. Anthony Walker was excellent. Javon Holland played really well. Kohu played well. Jordan Poyer played well. Jalen Ramsey's playing out of his mind at the moment. He isn't having an all-pro season corner. Then you throw in, even some guys, a couple of the guys that came up off the practice squad. Neil Farrell had a couple of big impact plays. So all across that defense, there were outstanding performances. I think there's an issue, obviously, with corner depth with Kendall Fuller. And we were kind of forced into that situation where Saran Neal's having to play, and you've got two guys on the who didn't get called up in Nick Needham, actually, if you throw in another, but Ethan Bonner, obviously, Storm Duck, both inactive. Nick Needham on the practice squad, but I think they're going to need to have a little bit of a reevaluation. But overall, I mean, the defense kept the offense, which was kind of stuttering and back and forth with the mistakes and the drops and the turnovers and the taking the sacks and those sorts of things. Obviously, they came through in the clutch towards the end, especially with a couple of those drives down the stretch with the big third down play to Raheem Mostert, the big third down completion to Odell Beckham, and setting up the what turned out to be essentially the game-winning field goal, or at least the game-separating field goal, the 50-yarder from Jason Sanders. But the defense was outstanding, and it's a good Rams team. It's a good Rams team. The 4-5 deep at receiver, the 2-3 deep At running back, they got a great quarterback, and the offensive line was. I actually, I think you'd have to watch the All-22, but I wonder in hindsight whether having Avila and Jonah Jackson back, having not played for so long, was actually in many ways a disadvantage to the Rams because they looked a little bit discombobulated and some of the snaps from Jackson weren't amazing. But for Miami, massive win, massive road win. We didn't play well, particularly. We played in fits and starts, but we kind of had it when we needed it. And the defense, Chris, was outstanding.
Yeah, a little bit surprised by the defense. I mean, the defense did a great job. I thought that the Rams probably left a lot on the table out there, or left a lot on the field out there with some of the mistakes they were making, which was very not very uncharacteristic, but somewhat uncharacteristic of them. They had not necessarily been making some of the mistakes that they made out there previously, and maybe just say they had a bad game. But I think Miami kind of forced that bad game, and I think they stepped up to the challenge. The secondary had started to get my concerns about the defense in this game, even with Zach Sealer coming back, who I thought would have a big impact, and he did. He absolutely, I mean, right from the first snap.
Yeah.
He had a big impact out there. I think he and Calais Campbell just have magic, the sort of magic that he and Christian Wilkins had previously, as a duo that sort of work together and work off of each other. I think that the secondary was what was concerning to me, and we're starting to, with Cater Kohu being a guy that kind of almost flip a coin whether he's going to have a good game or a bad game. Jordan Poyer not having played very well to date. And then, if I didn't think Javon Holland was actually going to play this game. And so with Javon Holland out, Jordan Poyer, Marcus May having been struggling, Cater Kohu being a coin flip, and Cam Smith being relied on out there, and I'm still not necessarily convinced on him, though I'm happy to see more. I thought that secondary would leave a lot more out there for the Rams, or would be a lot struggle a lot more than they did. I think that at times they did struggle out there. I thought the Rams used tempo beautifully to put pressure on the Miami defense, tire out the pass rushers, put the Dolphins defense into kind of more stagnant coverages, get them a little loosened up. But then the Rams just couldn't keep up with their own tempo. They couldn't execute with their own tempo. And so that's the double-edged sword of tempo, the tempo was kind of doing its job on defense, but the Rams, from an execution standpoint, weren't up to the task. And that's kind of the way tempo goes sometimes. So I thought the Dolphins played a good game on offense. Obviously there was a lot of split safety out there, and the Dolphins have to figure out how to beat it, just like the rest of the league is struggling to figure out how to beat it right now. And that's why you're seeing offensive output just like, kind of in a shambles this year, all the way around in the NFL. And so, it was an interesting game. And this is the first time that I can remember in prime time that the Dolphins have really stepped up under the Mike McDaniel regime, with the lights bright and everybody watching, nationally televised, and they went out and played a good game and won on the road, no less. So there's a lot to be proud of here.
Yeah. Simon, I saw a preview from the Rams perspective before the game earlier in the week. I think it was Locked On Rams. And the hosts were saying that they were expecting Mike McDaniel to throw it like 50 times because, and this is their words, they don't like what they have at cornerback. And they thought it was going to be a severe mismatch between our wide receivers and their cornerbacks. Well, Mike McDaniel really did think that, because he came out just throwing it all over the lot. What did you make of the game plan? It was a little bit uneven, and I thought in the second half they kind of got their footing, but I thought it was an odd start to just go out there and essentially just tee up our quarterback for their pass rush. by throwing it all over the lot. But hey, they got a touchdown on the opening drive. What did you make of the game plan? I didn't like it, by the way, to start the game.
No, I had some issues with it, I've got to say. I mean, look, first thing to say is that the Dolphins faced split safety coverage 93.5% of the time on dropbacks last night, which was the highest rate by any defense in the NFL since 2018, which tells you everything you need to know. And what teams are doing it. You know, it's hard to say that teams have figured out Mike McDaniel, but they've certainly, they're certainly taking away, and it's league wide, taking away those downfield shot plays, which the Dolphins have had success on during the Mike McDaniel tenure. Now, the other thing to note is that they are making messy the underneath the second level. You know, that's also where the Dolphins have done a lot of work. You know, we talked to Mike McDaniel last year, didn't we, in terms of, much more condensed and between the numbers in terms of how they attack, and teams are trying to take that away now. But what that leaves is the run game and the perimeter in terms of and I think that's why you're seeing the Dolphins run unsuccessfully, I might add, but generally run more screen passes, because they believe that's where the dead areas are in defenses. I don't think that's been proven through the season. Either that, or we just haven't been able to block it, and actually, given our offensive line, probably that could be the reason why, actually. But I didn't love the game plan. I don't understand. Look, I feel like a bit of a hypocrite here, because I was calling for accountability, and 2 or 3 weeks ago, and said, look, there is no accountability on this team. Nobody is, standing up to be counted. Nobody's being punished. And then the person that actually gets punished is Raheem Mostert, who had no carries.
And David Long, he's
David Long, but in terms of talking about the offense, but
yeah,
Mostert was punished for the fumble against Buffalo and the fumble the week before. Now, I said on social media that I thought it was pretty egregious that he wasn't playing. I had a load of fucking weirdos message me going, he cost us the game against Buffalo. It's like, lads, he literally fumbled on the first possession of the second half. We had 7 possessions after that. Like, he didn't cost us the game. Yes, it was a costly fumble. It didn't cost us the game. To me, he's been running better than anybody this season, and for him not to have a single carry in the game, I thought was extremely weird. He had the biggest play of the game, which was the 3rd and 18 conversion when we needed it most, when the momentum was starting to swing back to the Rams. And I thought it was a bit weird, McDaniel, today, when he said that that the fumbles against the Colts, the Bills, weren't the reason he didn't have a carry last night. And he said, we're manipulating game plans week in, week out. I feel very confident with Raheem, with the football. There'll be plenty of plays he'll make the rest of the season. This particular usage was unique to this game plan. And I'm sorry, but he's one of our best players on our team. He's running. I thought he was outstanding last week against Buffalo. He was outstanding apart from the fumble against the Colts. I mean, one big long run called back by a hold, which was no fault of his. I just think that just didn't make sense to me. I don't understand running, Devon Achane straight into the line of scrimmage time after time after time between the A gap. That doesn't make any sense to me. And then the other thing is, like, I like Jalen Wright. I thought he was he was my favorite back in the draft. But what's going to happen when Jalen Wright comes on the field. He isn't, involved in the passing game very much, if at all. And the other thing is that they don't trust him. I thought he was a pretty decent blocker in college, but it's one thing to be a good blocker in college. It's another completely to do it, be in there and stick your head in when you're asked to pick up a Jared Verse or a Kobe Turner or whoever it is. So when Jalen Wright's in the game, teams generally know what's happening. Obviously, we missed Alec Ingold last night, hence why I would have thought that even more so we'd have used Raheem Mostert, because he's tougher, he's more physical. Again, with Jeff Wilson being on the sideline, I would have thought they would have gone for the slightly tougher route than they did. So I just overall think it was a bit of a strange game plan. We obviously won, Chris, but it just seemed a little bit discombobulated at times, a little bit kind of off radar, and we didn't really know what to do at times to try and combat what was a very effective, to give them credit, front 7 of the Rams.
But I think that there's kind of a flip side of that, because I know that a lot of people and a lot of fans, and not that I put too much store in what the crowd is trying to say, but a lot of people want Jalen Wright to get more involved in the game. They really do. A lot of good things seem to happen. He's also got the best size and power among people. I mean, Jeff Wilson is where he is. He can't get into the game, and he doesn't have sort of the speed that the Dolphins like at the position. Well, Jalen Wright does. He also has better size and power. So you want to get him involved. We acknowledged even before the show, or before the game on the show, that Devon Achan is a, all around. He was leading pass catcher on the team. He's a weapon. They need to use him. They need to get him. Well, the snaps do have to come from somewhere. And what I thought that was happening in this game was that he was, or that Raheem Mostert, speaking about now, that he was a kind of third down back. And where did he make his biggest play of the game? Where did Tua and he together, make their biggest play of the game, really? It was in that situation. So when Mike McDaniel talked about it being kind of game plan oriented, situational oriented, I got it. But the other thing is that the fumbles are becoming a big deal. It's not just the 2 this year. I mean, he had 4 last year. And altogether you're looking at what does that work out to? Like a fumble every 40 touches, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big deal. And I know that he's a captain. I don't think he was demoted. I don't think this was an accountability thing, because even after he fumbled in the last game, they went right back to him. And that kind of showed me everything about the faith that they have in him. So I do think McDaniel is right about this being game plan oriented. But that is something that we have to keep an eye on, because these fumbles are the reasons that we're losing games. And you have team captains like Alec Ingold and Raheem Mostert, giving up the ball, and then you're losing games and losing season, potentially losing the season because of this type of thing. So yeah, accountability does have to come from somewhere, and it's never going to look great for the person that kind of gets that, if it was accountability, versus game plan, which kind of I have my doubts. But either way, I thought the game plan was trying to make good on something that the Rams were doing to them with that split safety look all game long. Obviously, they're trying to keep a cap on top of Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. And this is what the Dolphins have to do. They have to figure out how to make hay in that, because I heard people talking about, like, the Dolphins have to earn their single high looks. And I'm just thinking to myself, I think Mike McDaniel himself said that. I'm thinking to myself, and I said it on Twitter, how much single high are they going to earn? They have Tua Tagovailoa, who's having a great year when he's healthy, obviously. Throwing the ball to Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. How much single high do you expect to really earn? And so you have to be able to, because you scare teams this way and you scare defenses into doing this, you have to, as a snap for snap, play for play, football engine, have to be good at taking the underneath stuff and making big plays out of it. And that's what the Dolphins have not always been good at this year. And they're getting, I think, better and better. And that was the takeaway from this game, is they're throwing a lot of shit on the wall to see what sticks. A lot of personnel groupings, a lot of different concepts, a lot of different personnel, not just the personnel groupings, 11, 12, 21, that kind of thing. Not just that, but also the different players. River Craycraft comes in. He's basically a wide receiver blocker. And he springs the block that frees Malik Washington up for that end around touchdown run. There's a lot of stuff being thrown up the wall to see what sticks. And I think better and better, or as we go along, game after game this season, they're getting better and better at those kind of ancillary answers to what defenses are throwing at them. To where they're starting to get sharper and sharper and sharper when they have to do this, when they have to rely on Jonnu Smith, when they have to get a third down conversion to Odell Beckham Jr., when they have to use Raheem Mostert as a third down back, when they have to, and those end arounds, when they have to use end arounds to get the run game going, because that defense is really penetrating and shutting down the edges and really doing things that a outside zone offense like ours are kind of vulnerable to. They're getting better and better at that variety of different answers, and it's been a long process in coming this far this season, and they've got to continue to get better and better, because by the end of the season, if they're in the mix, it's going to matter a lot.
All right, we're going to go to break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the players, the individual players in this game. We're going to finish it off with game balls. It's been a while since we've given away game balls, but we will do it when we get back from break. But first, let me tell you about Underdog. Underdog is the place to play if you're a sports fan looking to win money while watching sports. With over 5 million happy players and $2 billion won, Underdog makes it fun and easy to cash in on all your favorite athletes' performances, compete against other players just by selecting higher or lower on 2 or more player stats, and you can win up to 1,000 times your money, so turn every touchdown into a win with Underdog. I thought it was an odd game last night where you have Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, Kyron Williams, the Dolphins, all the Dolphins that they have on offense, Tua, Devon Achane, Mostert, Waddle, Tyreek, and not a single one of them, not a one, went higher on their projected number of yards, which is crazy to think about. But both defenses actually got points for sacks. Vulture protection. If you select a designated running back to score a touchdown in your pick'em entry and they get vultured, we will rescue your entry. Red Zone Rush, a game you won't find anywhere else. Just pick whether a player will score a TD by swiping right for yes, left for no, simple as that. Plus, your entry will be automatically boosted, and you'll get a 51% profit boost when you play. Join over 5 million fans that are already playing on Underdog. With their pick'em game, you can win money by making entries with your favorite players. Download the Underdog app today and use promo code 3YARDS. That's the promo code 3YARDS, the number 3 yards, to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. Higher or lower, you make the call on Underdog. Must be 18 plus, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 19 plus in Alabama and New England, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, 1-800-639-8783, or text NEXT-STEP to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 HOPE line at 1-877-8-HOPE NY, or text HOPE NY to 467-369. And now for our other sponsors. Thompson Cigar has been America's humidor since 1915, offering the widest array of cigars and cigar accessories at the lowest prices. Known for our innovative ways to save, including exclusive 5-pack deals and many club options, Thompson Cigar is the trusted choice for cigar lovers seeking quality and value. Check out ThompsonCigar.com for incredible deals and become part of the Thompson Loyal. That's THOMPSON cigar.com. You know me. I enjoy a good stick with my football on a Sunday, on a Monday, on a Thursday, and Thompson Cigars is where I do my shopping online. Whether it's a smooth Connecticut in the morning or a Maduro at night, Thompson Cigars has it all. Thompson Cigar has been serving cigar enthusiasts since 1915, making it the oldest mail-order cigar company in the U.S. Get 15% off orders of $50 or more, or 20% off orders of $75 or more. Visit ThompsonCigar.com today and explore their incredible selection of cigars and unbeatable deals. Enjoy up to 20% off orders of your order of $75 or more. That's ThompsonCigar.com and use the promo code 3YARDS, that's the number 3YARDS, at checkout. Discover why Thompson has been America's humidor since 1915 and join the thousands of satisfied customers who trust Thompson Cigars for their quality, value, and exceptional service. ThompsonCigar.com.
Breathing deeply while listening to ocean waves can help reduce stress. Inhale, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 3, 2, 1. Let's keep solving. For more health solutions, go to floridablue.com. Florida Blue is a trade name of Blue Cross Blue Shield of Florida, Inc.
Are you a South Florida property owner with an insurance claim? Are you dealing with water, mold, or fire damage to your home or business? Are you having trouble locating a 5-star rated general contractor that is fully licensed, certified, and insured? If the answer is yes, then Water Cleanup of Florida is here for you 24 hours a day. With over 60 years of combined experience, Michael, Robert, Jorge, and their team is prepared to handle any size property damage disaster. When an unexpected damage occurs to your home or business, you need specialized, fast, and reliable services. Water Cleanup of Florida understands the impact and stress an unexpected disaster may cause. Their objective is to make the cleanup and insurance claim process painless and hassle-free. Water Cleanup of Florida is also a licensed general contractor, so they provide the A to Z service, one-stop shopping that busy homeowners and business owners require. Water Cleanup of Florida is now an authorized dealer of Eurocraft cabinets, so premier kitchen, bath, and laundry cabinetry, countertops, and other accessories are available for your viewing at their showroom in Boca Raton. Or, do you prefer to shop from your home or office? Then Water Cleanup will send you one of our design specialists to you with samples and products that fit your style and budget. Call Michael anytime on his personal cell phone if you have any questions at 954-579-0356. That's 954-579-0356. Or visit their website at wcufl.com. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram. And please check out their more than 80 5-star reviews on Google and Facebook. Water Cleanup of Florida. If you have the schmutz, they have the guts.
I'm Jalen Phillips, and you're listening to 3 Yards Per Carry.
And we're back. Simon, I give this guy a lot of shit on our Discord. And by the way, if you want to become a member of our Discord, nice little segue there, discord.gg/OnlyFins, and you become a member there for just $3 a month. But I've been talking about Javon Holland. I haven't been a fan this year, and I'm really not a fan of Javon Holland at $18 million a year, which is probably what he wants. He wants Antoine Winfield money, and I don't think he's worth it. I thought he was fabulous last night. He was so good, not only making plays when asked to, but he played such a smart game. There was a couple of plays where he was inverting their alignment and allowing Jordan Brooks to play the flat against Cooper Kupp or Puka Nacua, and trusting Jordan Brooks because you can. He's a good flat defender. He could, who's going to beat him? Maybe Tyreek Hill beat him on a flat route and get past him. But Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, he could handle that on the flat. And he was dropping down the hash and taking away all the deep digs that the Rams were trying to play. I thought he played a fabulous game last night. Your thoughts on his game, and has he turned the corner? Because it's been a few months since that interception return against the Jets for Javon Holland.
It's an interesting one because I have said to you, I don't quite get your upset/disappointment with him this season. I mean, to me, the most impressive thing was actually the perfect timing of the sack celebration and how he synchronized it like 30-40 yards away when Chop Robinson had his sack, and there you see Javon in the background. But no, I thought he was brilliant, and I thought he's been much better than I think perhaps some people, maybe yourself, have given him credit for, although it would be boring if we all thought the same thing. I just thought before the game, you kind of can't underestimate how important it was that they were able to bring back Sealer and Kohu and Holland, because it really does make a difference. And, like you said, his ability in coverage and his organizational skills. Go back and look at what this kid did at Oregon. This was a kid who played safety early on, and then for 2 years essentially just played slot corner the entire time, so that we know that he can cover. And I just thought his understanding of situational football was excellent last night. The trust that they place in him within the confines of the system. He obviously had the sack, which was outstanding. And I think he's a really important player. I think he's a really good player. I just think that the one issue with him, it has been health and availability. But he's got electric athletic ability, and you can line him up in so many different ways. And actually sometimes I kind of wonder whether or not he's the victim of his own ability, in terms of maybe he's a bit too much of a Swiss Army knife in a way, that you kind of want to use him in so many different ways that you maybe don't get the best out of him because you're not putting him in the situation that he's best at. But I agree with you. I thought he was outstanding last night. It just allows Weaver to do all sorts of different things on the back end, because that he can be relied upon in big moments.
Yeah. Chris, different question for you. Man, I thought Deshaun Hand was really, really good. Zach Sealer is a star. Okay. I think Zach Sealer's not that nice little defensive tackle anymore. He's a top 10-ish type defensive tackle in the NFL. He's so active, great pass rusher, good against the run. He was not a Christian Wilkins merchant, it turns out. But Calais Campbell, man, uh, I've gone from this is a nice little retirement tour to can he play at 39 next year? Because if you have Deshaun Hand, Zach Sealer, Calais Campbell, and a draft pick inside, you're doing things. Your thoughts on the interior defensive lineman, Chris? This is a really good group yesterday.
Yeah, I think the stars of the show continue to be Zach Sealer and Calais Campbell. Calais Campbell, who is I think surprising everybody with how well he can play at his age. Um, as you've alluded to, next, the question becomes, can you do it again for us next year? And I almost embedded in that question is, hey, we might have screwed up for a couple of games this year, and we're not sure if we're going to be able to turn the season around or not. But man, it'd be awesome if you could be around next year. So I think that's a natural thing to ask. I'm actually a little bit. I'll take flip side. I'm a little bit disappointed in the depth behind Sealer and Calais Campbell. I think that you look at Brandon Peely getting cut and claimed he's now gone. I don't think Benito Jones has played particularly well. Deshaun Hand, I think flatters to deceive at times. And if you look at this new guy Neil Farrell, what do you take from his 8 snaps on the game? I don't know. I know that he did not play well last week, although that was his first game being called up. I think that behind Zach Sealer and and Calais Campbell, you do have concerns, and that's why Zach Sealer made such an impact when he came back. And yes, he is an absolute star for the Miami Dolphins defense. And his contract will be, this is the benefit of pulling a guy off somebody else's practice squad is they're always going to be cheaper than they should be when they make good. It's the Cameron Wake scenario all over again. You pull Cameron Wake from the CFL, nobody thinks he's actually any good. So you get him on a cheap contract from the CFL. Even when he gets that next contract, it's still like, yeah, but and there's that sort of sentiment around a guy of low pedigree. That's Zach Sealer. They're doing it again. It's the same. It's Cameron Wake. So yes, he's a star, but his coming back and making such an impact also kind of shows what we were missing when he was not playing, when he got poked in the eye, which is really freaking weird in a practice. What are helmets for? But anyway, so I'm a little bit disappointed, a little bit concerned in the depth behind those two on the defensive line. I'm glad that they did find the answers that they've found with Zach Sealer and Calais Campbell. But they've got work to do in the offseason, in my opinion, behind those guys. I think overall the defense was buoyed quite a bit by Javon Holland coming back, as well as Kader Kohou coming back, having pieces that we saw it. Kader Kohou only went out for like a couple of plays with that very scary knee knocking thing that happened, and Saran Neal goes out there and they bullseyed him immediately, right?
Yeah.
So I think that those guys coming back, all of them, Zach Sealer, Javon Holland, and Kader Kohou, all made such a big difference on defense. But it does raise questions about the quality of the players behind them. And with Kendall Fuller now coming out, you got a picture that Cam Smith is going to continue to get more of a shot. I continue to not be impressed personally. Storm Duck actually, and I thought he intrigued me a little bit more than Cam Smith when he played for being a rookie UDFA. I would like to see more out of Ethan Bonner this year. I think that these are the guys that you need to find out more about heading into next year, heading into the offseason, because they're going to have to start developing some plans.
All right. Before we do game balls, I want to talk about the quarterback. I thought Simon Tua had some bad decisions in the first half. Had the bad pick. The fumble, that was completely unnecessary, where he needed to just turtle up if he couldn't get rid of it. But in the second half, man, these are good numbers. In the second half, first of all, they scored on every drive in the second half. And that's a good thing. When you have a lead, that's precisely what you want to do. Just keep that team at arm's length at 2 scores consistently and win by 1 score. And that's fine. If you could do that consistently, you're going to be a pretty good team toward the end of the season. But he had 6 third down conversions in the second half, 8 for 10, 120 yards, and one of them was a drop, by the way. He was 6 for 6 for 92 yards on plays he extended past 4 seconds from snap to pass. I thought he was fabulous in the second half and kind of average to bad in the first half. What did you make of Tua's performance last night?
Yeah, I think you pretty much summed it up. I thought he was average to bad in the first half. Beyond the first drive, I thought he was cautious a little bit, especially the couple of drives after he took the knee to the helmet after the interception, where I think he was just trying to force it a little bit. I think on that opening drive, you kind of get lulled into that slightly false sense of security because you think that what you're hoping for is actually going to manifest. And I don't think it did, actually. And to be fair, they didn't really get a lot of help from the run game. But I thought he looked kind of, I mean, I hate to say it, but he looked like prime time Tua in terms of just, the only consistent thing was how inconsistent he was. I thought he was better in the second half. I still didn't think he was amazing. But what I do think he did brilliantly was extend plays to make critical first downs, and there were 2 or 3, but specifically the play to Raheem Mostert where he picked up on the first down on that 3rd and 16, 3rd and 18, whatever it was. That was an outstanding job of avoiding the pass rush, which he did. That was the sort of move that he ran in that rookie season on the road in Arizona, where he faked a guy out and picked up the first down. Just the way that he kind of slipped him by using his hips and then extended the play to the sideline and flipped it to Raheem for the first down. That was outstanding. And there was one, there were a couple of throws that probably should have been picked off by the linebacker, the white linebacker with long hair. He looked a bit like the kind of Dollar General version of Alex Anzalone, but I think he got away with 1 or 2 there. But I thought there was also a really great throw to Malik Washington. I think on the penultimate drive, sort of threaded between 3 defenders, which was outstanding. We're probably 6-3 if he doesn't get injured against the Bills, and right in the playoff hunt. And we can build some momentum, I think, with these 2 games coming. You'd expect us to beat the Raiders and the Patriots. And then you got a big game on Thanksgiving night against the Packers. And if you can win that game, then all bets are off in terms of making the playoffs at that point. With what looks like a fairly healthy schedule, you got the Jets to play twice, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't think it's beyond the realms that if he can stay healthy, he can get in the playoffs. But I thought he was solid and just did what he needed to do, but was good in big moments. Taking the sacks is frustrating. It's annoying. You just wanted to get rid of the ball. He had, on the big sack, he had Mostert wide open in the left flat and didn't see him or didn't take it. And some of those things are irritating. And, but we won the game, and he was a reason why we won the game. And we don't win the game if he's not playing. So I think that's important to remember.
Yeah, Chris, quickly, your thoughts on Tua before we give our game balls here.
Yeah, I think he exhibited 2 main themes that we're seeing this year that the Dolphins wanted to improve, and one of them was third down, because when the chips were down last year, late in the season or against good opponents, we couldn't convert third downs. I think they intentionally built out their options on third downs, whether that's Odell Beckham and the sort of third down prowess he has had in his career, or Malik Washington and the sort of third down prowess that he had in college. Jonnu Smith, who fits into this offense best as a tight end in the obvious pass situations, because he's obviously not a blocker, and so they get into an obvious pass situation. He becomes the tight end. He becomes another receiving weapon. And what does that spell? That spells third down. And then you have Tua Tagovailoa himself losing some weight this year, this offseason, and being more, wanting to scramble more, wanting to use his athleticism a little bit more, and steal a couple of first downs on third down. Like, you're building all of these options to do better at third down. And sure enough, this year, I think there's maybe only one quarterback, or there's probably only one quarterback, that's Patrick Mahomes, who's been better at converting third and fourth downs when the ball is in his hands. That is just a fact. So,
Yes.
that's what you're getting with Tua. And then the other thing is holding the ball longer, being
He's
able to
fourth
make
all time,
plays.
by the way. I don't know if you saw the stat that was
Yeah, I
posted by the
saw.
same guy.
Well, this season, it's a short season for him. He missed 4 games, so caveats a lot. So I'm just saying, this season among active quarterbacks, though, he's behind only Pat Mahomes, I believe. So I think that the other thing is holding the ball a little bit longer, making something happen outside of structure. You mentioned what he is throwing the ball after holding it for 4 seconds. Well, there's a flip side to that. When you're getting into that mentality, guess what's also going to happen? What's also going to happen is he's going to end up holding the ball a little bit too long, and especially when pressure comes over that left guard from the interior, which no quarterback really likes, and that's how he was sacked. All 3 times that he was sacked last night came from left guard pass rushers. So I think that it's a double-edged sword a little bit, but that's what you're seeing. You're seeing the theme play out. And sometimes I like to get out of my head and get into a different headspace and think, what would we be thinking if we were 6-3? What would we be thinking right now if Tua Tagovailoa never put his head down in Damar Hamlin, or if the Dolphins had not so terribly managed the backup quarterback situation to where they went 4-0 during that stretch, which they should have, based on how the chips fell and how the defense played, and so on and so forth. And so you have to ask, what would we be thinking if they were 6-3 right now and not 3-6? If I'm not even talking about if Tua Tagovailoa hadn't gotten hurt. I'm talking about if they'd had a Joe Flacco or a Jameis Winston or somebody like that. The way the chips fell in those 4 games, we probably should have gone 4-0 in those games. The defense played well enough over this stretch. The offense, would have played well enough if they had a quarterback who could achieve basic level execution during that time frame. What would we be thinking if we sit here 6-3 and we're facing what looks, by all paper measures, to be a cupcake schedule? And I know that's why you play the games on Sunday and so on and so forth. But we would be thinking that this team is in line for a number 2 seed, a number 3 seed, something like that. We would not be talking about firings. We would not be talking about how the season is cursed. We would not be talking about how everything that they did in the off season is trash and isn't enough. And we wouldn't be firing Chris Greer, and we wouldn't have Mike McDaniel on the hot seat. We wouldn't be anywhere near our current mindset. And I think it's interesting to kind of put yourself into that hypothetical space, to think about it and realize that maybe the only difference between that alternate reality and this is just a simple click of the wrong button at the backup quarterback position. So it's this game kind of brought a little bit of that in focus for me, and I think Tua is bringing that into focus for us with the way that he's playing, because he has gotten discreetly better every single year that he's played in the NFL. So that's something that this game leaves me with, and I wonder what everybody else thinks.
Yeah, and we're gonna get to game balls here in a second, but I completely agree. One of the dumbest things I've ever heard is one of the most repeated cliches, quotes, revered. I don't know how it's almost gospel. It's in the football Bible, and that's you are what, or I should say, the problem is I can't do a New York accent. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It'd be better if I could do a New York accent. You are what your record says you are. No, you're not.
That was you got to do that more often, because that was purely awful.
Yeah, I can't do it. I can't do a New York accent. You know
You
what's
are
funny?
what your record says you are.
Yeah, well, no, that's Boston. That sounds like
Oh yeah,
Boston.
is that Boston?
Yeah, you were doing
That's a
Boston
little
right
bit.
there.
Yeah, that's you're right. I have a New England family.
Yeah,
Sorry.
what's screwed up here is that I'm from New Jersey and I can't do a New York accent. Okay,
Yeah.
but you're not.
Well,
You're not.
my family's all from New England, so I just default to that.
You know what's the dead giveaway that you're not what your record says you are? there was a San Francisco team that won, I think, 5 games, and the following year they basically returned the same team and they won 13 and made the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not what your record says you are. You are what you playing like. Okay, if you play like crap, you play like trash, then yeah, you're not good. But yeah, this team, look, if we could turn off injuries, like, and if there's a Madden mode that you could turn off injuries,
Sure.
I like this team. I like it. Can this team make the Super Bowl? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But the problem is you can't turn off injuries. Okay.
Yeah. And
And
especially it'd be a cheat code for Chris Greer, especially the way he builds these rosters.
yes, yes, absolutely. And man, and it's the truth. This team takes a few injuries in a few key areas, and man, this team looks completely different. And
It does.
without Tua, they're a bottom 5 team in the league.
But that's where we have to bring it back to, is this a team that's always going to be going to flatter to deceive? Because when all things are going okay, yeah, they get you excited. They produce this excitement. But then they're also a fragile. They get shaken up by injuries or circumstances, and they don't recover. And that's the thing that we have to see. But it is interesting to think about, even forgetting the injury, and to me, and I don't even think it would have taken some injury luck to be 6-3 right now. I think it would have literally just been, had they signed a capable backup quarterback, an experienced, capable backup quarterback, an Andy Dalton or a Joe Flacco or a Jameis Winston or one of those guys, instead of having Skylar Thompson, and a parade of guys that we recruited out of the unemployment line in season. These are guys that were looking for jobs in season. The cuts came down and they didn't have jobs, and so the Dolphins are out there. These are guys that were not prepared to play Miami Dolphins football and the Miami Dolphins offense because they're just learning it. And then Skylar Thompson, who can't stay healthy and probably is not a real NFL player besides. If they had just not done that, where would we be right now? Really, where would we? And it's a bit of a mind fuck, really, to think about that.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I think we would all be in a very different headspace right now. And it's just but it's not. I mean, if wishes had wings. But I think that I think that going forward, this is why people keep looking at Miami and being like, even though they're 2-6, even though they're 3-6 now, they're like, maybe, and I think that's why. I think that's why, because we all kind of have a sense for that. Like, we all kind of have a sense for us, like, wait, what if this is the Miami team that actually starts playing better as the season goes on?
Yes.
And they were 6-3 and facing a cupcakes remaining schedule. I mean, Jesus, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Instead, their best case scenario is to be last year's Packers, who started 2-5 and finished 9-8, made the playoffs, won a road playoff game, and then gave the 49ers fits in the second round. That's what's dancing in their heads right now, in Dolphins heads.
But right now, it's easy to imagine all this because Tua is playing the best football that we've seen him play, frankly.
Yeah.
And I'll include last night. I know Simon had some misgivings with some of the decisions that he made in the first half, and we all do. But I think that overall, the game that he had was kind of more part of the set of performances that we've seen this year. That is, overall, this is the finest season that he's had as a pro.
Yeah. No, and some Dolphin fans, and you could count me among them, look at that Bills game that they just played and think to myself, wouldn't it be something to go to Buffalo in the wild card round and this time have a ball bounce our way and we send them home?
Yeah. Yeah, right. I mean, that's
think about it. Think about it. On the last drive against the Cardinals, Kyler Murray fumbles a snap and it comes right back to him. Okay. And on the last drive for the Bills, a ball gets batted in the air and Deshaun Hand can't find it. If he tracks the ball, he catches it at the 10-yard line with a minute left.
Crazy. All right. And we've got a long season remaining. So,
Yes.
that's a lot. But that goes both ways, right? Because a lot more bad things can happen. A lot more good things can happen.
Yeah. Yeah, this team is due for some football luck. All right, we're gonna do game balls here. One thing very, very quickly. I don't think we had to do a dissertation on this, but Tyrell Dodson, the Dolphins evidently signed PFF's #1 rated linebacker last year and the third best in coverage last year. So, man, we just got Zach Thomas or Ray Lewis, Dick Butkus. Like, who do we get here? Like, this is pretty exciting stuff. I saw him play for Buffalo. I had no idea he was this good last year. Well, according to PFF.
According to PFF.
Yeah.
But according to PFF, I mean, and this is where you can't really trust them because, they said that Jordan Brooks was a terrible coverage linebacker.
Yeah, and he was so good that Javon Holland was putting him on Puka Nacua in the slot yesterday.
I mean, we've seen some coverage responsibilities from Jordan Brooks and some coverage plays that Jordan Brooks has made this year that are just outstanding. So it's not nobody's going to deny that. Nobody's going to suddenly be a flat earther on whether Jordan Brooks is good in coverage now that the Dolphins fans have seen him. But heading into this offseason, if you're looking at just purely off of PFF, they're like, no, he's terrible in coverage, and this is absolutely not true. This is why you can't always trust them, because the coaches that evaluated him, and I'm not even talking about just Miami's coaches, I'm talking about around the league, the coaches knew him as a coverage linebacker, knew him as a good coverage linebacker. And do they truly think the same thing about Dodson? And that's a good question, because whatever he was rated for coverage by PFF, I've got other people that are like, no, actually he's only good going downhill. He's only that sort of thing. So we'll see. It's just, hey, what he is at the very least is he was a 5-unit special teams player before Matt Milano got injured last year, and he had to fill in. So that's what the Miami Dolphins are getting, is a capable backup linebacker who is a 5-unit special teams player and could be more for all we know.
Yeah, and if I were David Long, don't buy a house.
Yeah. Seat's gotten hot.
Yes. And if you have a house, explore the real estate market. It's pretty hot right now, Real estate prices are pretty high down here in South Florida. So you're going to get a pretty good return on your money, David. You know what I mean?
Rent, don't
explore.
buy.
If you need a real estate agent, hit me up. Alf from 3 Yards Per Carry has your hookup, David. All right. Game balls. Simon Clancy says, offensive game ball, Teron Armstead. Man, speaking of PFF has now made him the #1 rated tackle in all of football, and the #1 rated offensive lineman in all of football. That's another guy that I'm like thinking about. Man, can he turn into Trent Williams late in his career? Remember Trent Williams? There was a time where he was just missing a lot of games, and then all of a sudden he becomes an Iron Man. And right now, Trent Williams is the best left tackle in football at 36 years old.
Yeah.
So, and his defensive game ball is to Jordan Brooks. I'm going to go a little bit off the reservation here. And I'm going to go in a weird spot. I watched every single route this man ran, and I saw his catches, and I've seen his catches for 2 weeks, and I finally see the vision. The problem is that he was very injured. Evidently, was carrying an injury when he got here. But I see the vision for third downs, and I'm going to give 2 game balls. Huge play by Jonnu Smith, so he gets 1 just for a huge play. Like that game was teetering on 3rd and 3. He catches a pass that, quite frankly, if that's Julian Hill or if that's Durham Smythe, it's a gain of 6. He turns it into gain of 36. So 1 game ball for Jonnu Smith for just that play, and the other one to Odell Beckham. That's on offense. Odell Beckham, man, he's strong at the catch point. Another conversion yesterday. You had to see that. I'm pretty sure you saw that play. His back was turned to Tua when Tua released the ball. And he just turns around, locates the ball, hand catches it, tucks it, takes a hit. First down. So those are my 2 off-the-wall game balls. And on defense, I'm going to leave 1 for you, which is kind of obvious. So I won't mention it. But I think this is a game that Zach Sealer became a star. It's in prime time against, pretty popular team, popular quarterback, Super Bowl winning quarterback, really good offense with their entire interior offensive line returning, and he just dominated. So my defensive game ball goes to Zach Sealer, who is an absolute stud. Like I just feel so good when he's out there. Certain guys just give you the warm and fuzzies that he's on your side. And I never feel like, I don't remember him having a bad game. And I'm pretty sure he has had a bad game here or there. But man, he was just spectacular last night. What a return. Zach Sealer gets my defensive game ball. Your game balls, Chris.
Well, first off, Simon, who had to dip out real quick for the final couple minutes of the podcast, is his game balls were Teron Armstead on offense and Jordan Brooks on defense.
Yeah, I said that at the start of the segment.
Oh, okay, my bad. But yeah, I can't. As much as I like Zach Sealer, and I think overall he is a star for the Miami Dolphins defense, and a really, really powerful asset, particularly because he's so underpaid. I do have to go with Jordan Brooks here on defense, because this was a game they're asking him to do. I think that slowly and then sort of all at once, Anthony Weaver has been giving this defense to Jordan Brooks to run it, and we're starting to see, with the benching of David Long in favor of Anthony Walker, and now how they're playing Jordan Brooks and Anthony Walker together. I think more and more you're seeing the vision that they have for Jordan Brooks in the longer term, intermediate to longer term, as the guy who is running this defense, and he had a game that befits that station. He had a hell of a game out there, and he was a big deal. And if it wasn't him, then you got to give some credit to Jalen Ramsey for continuing to play week in and week out, and then Chop Robinson for having his finest game as a pro this year. On offense, it's really hard because they were effective, but it was kind of a collective effort. A guy had to play here, a guy had to play there. But I'll give it to Malik Washington actually in this one, because this is the game he stepped up and was asked to make some plays and make game impacting plays, and he did. He had that touchdown run. He caught a ball. He caught a big ball. Kind of down at the end there. That was a really good route. And this is probably the first time in the year that we've seen him actually contribute, not just kind of replacement level. This was more than replacement level. And for a rookie 6th rounder, that they're actually placing some hopes on, that Mike McDaniel thinks very highly of. That could be a big deal down the road. So, it's kind of inaugural above replacement level performance as a rookie. I think deserves some a shout.
Yeah, that was nice to see. You could start to see the vision with some of these guys where they could pay dividends, and it'll make although we're not talking about that now, but it'll make the work for the offseason a little lighter if some of these guys can pan out. All right, if you want to participate we're going to have a Q&A live show tomorrow on our Discord. Kyle Krabs will be my guest for that Q&A live show, so you could ask questions of him. But the only way you can do that is if you're a member of our Discord. And by the way, he is a member of our Discord. So he
is one of our vetted members. He's one of the sort of the closer group of members.
Yes. So that tells you all you need to know about our Discord. He pays us to be on our Discord, all right? and you could pay us to listen to him. So you could do that. But the only way you could do that is by going on our Discord, and to do that, you got to go to discord.gg/OnlyFins, and you become a member there for $3 a month. All right, that's it. We will talk to you on Thursday when we will talk Raiders, Dolphins. Dolphins return home for 2. This is the first of 2. They need these. We'll talk about it on Thursday. But till then.
Thanks for listening to 3 Yards Per Carry. You can subscribe via iTunes, on Podbean, or your usual podcast provider.
Curious about investing in crypto? Start with Grayscale. They have over a decade of experience managing crypto investment products, many of which are available right in your investment account. Search for a Grayscale product ticker today. Investing involves risk, including loss of principal. For more information and important disclosures, visit grayscale.com.